All right, everybody. It is President's Day weekend. I hope everyone had a happy Valentine's Day.
Mm,
I know I did.
mhm.
This is Jeffrey Harris of 411 Mania, and welcome back to Hollywood Purgatory. On the other end of the line, we have our resident expert, Jay Snook.
Hey there, how's it going, everybody? What's up?
NoCal and SoCal unite. Jay, how is the hand injury doing?
Not too bad. It's doing better. Stitches out, so that's always progress.
Good, great,
Progress for the stitches being in. So
great,
that's a good
great.
thing.
And you've also been approved for WonderCon.
Yes, I have. Thank
My
God.
understanding in Anaheim. So yeah, I've been approved for WonderCon. So both Jay and I are planning to cover that convention.
Yeah, and I need to apply for E3 too, because E3 is
E3, yeah, I
soon.
haven't. I'm
Yeah,
getting my stuff together for E3 now.
me too.
It's just been crazy, and like that time of year, it's just one. It's one thing. It's like one convention.
But I do like this year where they have 2 days where they have media gets going a few hours early before the public. I like that, so that'll be great.
Yeah, I'm hoping that will be benefit because now that they have regular attendees, hopefully that will help us navigate around a little bit more and we can avoid the lines a
Yeah,
little bit.
it's
But
only the 2 days out of the three, but it's still pretty nice.
organization is going to be key for that, though.
Sure,
How well organized that period is. But
that is true.
so basically, so we have a huge new Marvel movie to talk about. It's always exciting when we have one of those. We're getting the summer started a little early, courtesy of Marvel Studios and Walt Disney. It is
Mhm.
Black Panther, and it is already basically one of the biggest movies of the year.
Mhm.
Made over 190 million, 192 million this
Mhm.
weekend, and over 200 million for the holiday weekend.
Mhm.
97% on Rotten Tomatoes. This is the best reviewed Marvel Studios movie to date, better than any other Marvel film in the past. And look, so the Marvel films are generally well liked by critics, Jay.
Mhm.
Not just you and me, like the major like art house critics and what have you.
Mhm.
Uh, they tend to like Marvel films, and this is the best reviewed out of all of them.
Mhm.
Uh, uh, and the film is doing great. And
Mhm.
we saw it. I
Mhm.
got to see it early in Los Angeles at the ArcLight Hollywood on Tuesday night. When did you get to see it, Jay?
I saw it also on Tuesday night at the Century Theater on Greenback Lane, so I got to see it there on Tuesday
All
night.
right. So basically, here's what we're going to do. This is our spoiler cast discussion of the Black Panther movie. So
Mhm.
that we are going to talk about actual specific spoiler stuff since the movie's out. We can talk
Mhm.
about it now. It's fair game. But
Mhm.
this is your warning. If you're watching us live or watching us later, that we are going to be talking deep into spoilers and
Mhm.
story elements and all that. So this is your chance to tune out now, and
Or
then
just now, just do earmuffs, cover your ears.
or earmuffs, and then go out, see the movie, and then come back and watch the rest. Right, Jay?
Yeah, definitely, definitely,
All
absolutely.
right. So me, Jay, and my Gizmo Duck Funko Pop. Since you're a
Mhm.
fan of Ducktales and I'm a
Mhm.
fan of Ducktales and Darkwing, and he was on Darkwing Duck too. We're gonna talk about Black Panther for our spoiler cast. All right. So where does this stand among the last 10 years of Marvel films for you, Jay?
It's definitely one of the better ones. The thing is, it's really another origin story in a nutshell. It's just what it is, but that's not a bad thing. Marvel's done that before. They do it really
It's
well.
not a
They do it,
strict origin story, though, I would
well,
say.
not strict, but it is in the sense of like you get to learn more of like the universe and the backstory of the character, like we did in
We
Captain
learn
America.
about
Well,
Wakanda.
like we did in Captain America: The First Avenger, and like Thor, and like it's similar in that regard. Where like we get to learn more about the character
His
and the
home. We
backstory
learn
and all
about
that.
his homeland. We didn't really know much about his homeland in Captain America: Civil War.
And to be fair, we didn't know much about him either. We only knew a little bit. We got like little glimmers, so we got a
Right.
lot more of him in this too, which was really cool. His family, his land, and all that. And
So
that's
basically, yeah. Go ahead.
and it starts in a great place where it actually starts it starts kind of like with the whole Civil War thing, right? Like that little clip is where the movie starts, right?
No, that's not where. No, not really. No, it
Well,
starts with. It starts in Oakland.
oh yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. That is right. It
It
did
starts
start
in
from the
Oakland, and
start.
well, actually, as I recall, it starts. We learn the history of Wakanda is the
Yeah,
first thing.
that's true.
First, we learn the history of Wakanda, and
Hmm.
I think we'll tie into that a little later. We
Hmm.
have a father telling his son about Wakanda and how it
Hmm.
came to be. For those who don't know, Wakanda is like this hidden African nation. It is the home of the Black Panther, and Wakanda is sitting on this sort of hotbed of vibranium. And in the world of the Marvel Universe, vibranium is this very valuable, versatile metal that can do all sorts of interesting things. It's as I recall in the first Avenger, Howard Stark, Tony Stark's father, says it's completely resistant to vibrations, and it's also bulletproof, and it can do so many things. Captain America's shield in the films is made out of vibranium, and in Age of Ultron they had that whole subplot involving vibranium. So we have a whole sort of prologue here introducing Wakanda and the Black Panther, how he operates as the king of Wakanda and sort of unites the 5 tribes together. And so Wakanda basically throughout history was sort of able to protect itself from the rest of the world using their resource of vibranium. They were able to make all that advanced technology that's far beyond anything else on the planet. So they were able to stay, they were able to avoid the horrors of like the wars and humanity from all over the world. And that leads us to Oakland, where basically a Wakandan prince is sort of doing, it looks like he's doing gun and vibranium deals. And then it looks like T'Chaka, who is T'Challa, the Black Panther of the films, his father learns about it, and apparently that was his brother, and it didn't look like things were too kosher there. It didn't look like King T'Chaka, T'Challa's father, was happy. Okay, so before we get confused, the present-day Black Panther, his name is T'Challa. He's Prince T'Challa of Wakanda. Now, in Civil War, released 2 years ago, and remember the bombing by Zemo at the UN, killed his father, who was the former king of Wakanda, T'Chaka. So as a result, his son T'Challa now inherits the mantle of king and Black Panther. So the plot basically picks up. We pick up with the idea that it picks up after the prologue. We pick up 1 week after Civil War. So 1 week after Civil War, his father is dead, and now he's the new Black Panther, and he has to observe the traditional rites of Wakanda. So I'm sorry that sounded so complicated, Jay. But so now we have T'Challa. He's taking up his sort of kingly right as the new king with his family, and he has to observe a challenge from the other tribes have the opportunity to challenge his position as king. M'Baku of the Jabari tribe, the leader of that tribe. Now, basically, this character is from the Marvel Comics, M'Baku. They called him Man-Beast, so obviously they had to change that a little bit for obvious reasons. You can figure that out. He challenges T'Challa and loses, and then meanwhile we have Ulysses Klaue from Age of Ultron, the guy Ultron got all of his vibranium from in the second Avengers film. So now we're tying all this back together. He stole that vibranium from Wakanda, so now like Black Panther, T'Challa, who's gone through the king rite, the king ritual. His mission, he goes on a mission to capture Klaue for his crimes against Wakanda, and Klaue is now being assisted by this new mercenary by the name of Eric Stevens, nicknamed Killmonger. Eric Stevens is basically T'Challa's cousin. He's his cousin. He is the now adult son of the brother that T'Chaka killed off screen at the beginning of the movie. Basically, he killed his own brother because he was committing crimes against the laws of Wakanda. So Michael B. Jordan plays Killmonger, and he is trying to steal the throne of Wakanda from his cousin because of what T'Challa's father killing his father. So now we have the sins of the father and what have you. All right, so let's just stop for a minute. What if anything stuck out for this film to you in terms of performances or visuals or whatever?
Yeah, the visuals are really good, especially in the beginning when they showed, Wakanda covered and you saw all the
Wakanda looks awesome.
Yeah, but all the time periods around the beginning, like, where you see all, like, the different, like, wars, something going on around them, and they're kind of not privy to all of it. But yeah, Wakanda is really good. The costumes are really good. The fight sequences are amazing. And the cast is really good. I mean, Forrest Whitaker is amazing. Lupita Nyong'o is amazing.
Angela Bassett.
Yeah, she's amazing. Chadwick Bosewick is amazing.
Michonne from The Walking Dead, Denai
Yeah.
Guerrera. Is that how it's pronounced? I'm
I'm
sorry
not
if
sure.
I'm pronouncing that right. But Michonne from The Walking Dead, she's a significant role in the movie. Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out is in the movie. He's one of T'Challa's I guess.
Oh yeah, that was him.
He's one of the leaders of another tribe.
And then they had Michael B. Jordan just is like a really
He's
good
the villain.
But he's a really good villain. He reminded me a lot of Michael Keaton's character in Spider-Man: Homecoming, where he was bad, but he was misunderstood.
You understand? Well, not misunderstood. You kind of understand his plight, so to speak.
So that was really good, and it told a really good story. It just really did. It was another Marvel film where they took something that could have gone bad really easily, and they made it great. So.
I think great cast, great production design. I really like the costumes and how they visualize Wakanda, and how it looks. So it's almost like an alien city on Earth, because like these people, they closed themselves off from the rest of the world, and they had all this vibranium, and they were able to make like technology far beyond anything we've ever seen, and it's like this amazing kind of like utopia. It looked so amazing.
And I also liked Martin Freeman. Martin Freeman was great.
He plays Everett K. Ross. He's another character we met in Civil War, one of the CIA agents, and he gets caught up. He gets caught up in the thing with Claw when they're trying to capture Claw, and then Claw escapes, so he gets wrapped up in all that. He was good in the movie. This is more of a nitpick, but I guess my main gripe is some of the CG didn't look great. Some of the special effects didn't look great, I thought.
Examples, because what do you like?
Specifically in the climax when T'Challa is fighting Killmonger, when the Black Panther is fighting Killmonger, I think some of the CG work looked a little too cartoony to me. It didn't look quite as immersive. What else? To me, I feel like Marvel has done better with visual effects before in some of their other films. I think Thor Ragnarok looked a lot better in terms of CG and visual effects. I think there are a couple, there are a couple little clumsy writing things I would have maybe changed. Like I would have given, if I was reading the script, I would have given them a couple notes, just move this around, fix this, but nothing too extraneous. I think this was a very good film. I mean, look, you have a very diverse cast, a cast of strong characters. I thought Forrest Whitaker, I wasn't sure how much of a role he was going to have in this movie. I thought he had a pretty substantial role here, and I really liked him as sort of he's a mentor to T'Challa, but he's also sort of like a flawed mentor too, because you get this sense that T'Challa, he idolized his father, who was a Black Panther before him, and Zuri, who was sort of like the shaman of Wakanda. But what's the big thing? We found out that T'Challa's father, T'Chaka, and his friend Zuri were responsible for the death of Killmonger's father, and that's part of the reason why Killmonger wants revenge on them, and why so he's sort of justified in some ways. So what did you think?
That was a good twist, though. Yeah. He was doing it to save Forrest Whitaker's character, which was really kind of cool. It was something they kept secret forever.
Well, T'Challa's father, the other prince, who is Killmonger's father, he was trying to kill Zuri for betraying him, basically, because Zuri was spying on him for the king, and he was and so as a result, it's like a scuffle. He pulls a gun on him, and then T'Challa's father, the past Black Panther, T'Chaka, kills Killmonger's father. So all of that, yeah, I thought that was a very interesting plot.
I thought it was really cool too, the scene like where you saw T'Challa go back and talk to the future kings who originally were actually Panthers.
Yeah,
and you got to see his dad a few times, which was really cool. And like the twists and turns in the story were great. The surprises were kind of cool. And you could really it was easy to empathize with some of the characters. Like I said, Michael B. Jordan's character, you could empathize with him. You're like, you can understand, he had been robbed of pretty much all this stuff he was supposed to have, right? And he never even got to be a part of any of it. So it was kind of interesting in that regard.
They didn't just kill his father; they abandoned him and left him in sort of that ghetto, basically in Oakland, California. What exactly do I want to nail down here? Okay, so here is my biggest problem with the film. Since this is a spoiler cast, I thought Claw was cool. That was Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis, if you didn't know, played Gollum in the Lord of the Rings films. And we had Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger. What happens to them, Jay? Tell us what happens to them.
Michael B. Jordan kills Claw. And then brings Claw to Wakanda.
He brings him to Wakanda basically to get into Wakanda. So because he's trying to get in, like, okay, I've got your war criminal here, so he uses him. That's how he gets into the country. So he kills him, and then what happens to Killmonger?
He fights T'Challa and becomes king, right? Because he wins.
Yeah. Right. So in the middle of the movie, because of his royal bloodline, he fights T'Challa and challenges him to the ritual for the throne. He beats him to get the throne. So it looks like he beats him, and we think T'Challa's dead for a little bit.
I didn't think that, but that's just me.
Well, I mean, the characters in the movie thought that, of course. And then, of course, T'Challa is still alive. He's saved by M'Baku, right? M'Baku saves him because when they had their fight, T'Challa spared his life. And he was doing it out of respect to repay that debt. And then T'Challa and his friends, they go back to the city to stop Killmonger because he's trying to send out vibranium weapons to black communities, all over the world, so they will fight back against their oppressors and basically take over the world. That's kind of his plot there. And then so T'Challa fights Killmonger. And then what happens when they fight?
Then this big battle ensues, and
what happens to Killmonger? Tell us what happens ultimately.
He does stab him in the stomach or something, right?
And then what?
And then he says, "I could probably still save you." He's like, "No, I'd rather die." Because he says something like
that was really a good line, though. I thought.
If he says like slaves knew their other junk like be thrown overboard or something.
He said he was like, bury me out at sea. With the other
being changed or something, right?
Like the slaves who jumped off the ships because they knew death was better than to live in chains, basically.
Yeah, because he knew.
I thought that was a great line.
Yeah, because he knew he was going to be in prison the rest of his life, which would have been true because he, was pretty much a war criminal.
Killmonger had a lot of great lines in this movie.
He did, yeah.
But
it was kind of weird though. I didn't like it where he burned all the flowers. I knew why he did, but that was kind of ridiculous.
I mean, he's a megalomaniac, and the reason he burned him, he didn't want anyone else to. The flowers, we're talking about the flowers in the movie are part of like this garden, and these are special flowers that grant the Black Panther, the king of Wakanda, his superpowers and special abilities. Basically, so he burned them all, so basically no one else would have the challenge. No one else would have the power to challenge.
Yeah, and I thought Lupita Nyong'o was amazing. She was a really strong female character. His sister was a really strong character. They were both really strong female characters.
Nakia was Lupita Nyong'o, his love interest, and his sister was Letitia Wright, and she was very funny.
Yeah, they were both just great characters.
I really like the relationship because he doesn't really have that relationship with anyone else, where it's kind of like, like they kind of like take they razz on each other and they take what is it? I don't want to.
It felt like a genuine sibling relationship.
Yeah, it's like
I've been at my siblings before.
It's a fun sibling rivalry kind of, but a loving sibling rivalry relationship. I would say I like that. But here is what I'm getting at. What happened to Claw and Killmonger? They're dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
You avoided my question. So we had two cool villains here, Claw, Killmonger, and they're both dead at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a problem to me.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
Well, I don't think it's
say,
a problem. I don't think it's a problem just because where the MCU is going next. I don't think it's a problem at all.
Why?
It makes perfect sense. Because we know that someone even worse is coming in May. We know it.
Yeah, but he's not a Black Panther villain. Okay, he's like a villain for everyone. Because this is a new franchise, right? We're making a franchise here.
Right.
Why kill off such cool characters, right when we're just getting started?
Because
you don't kill off Darth Vader. You don't kill off Darth Vader in A New Hope. You don't kill off Darth Vader in Empire Strikes Back.
True. But with this, I think the reason it happens because we don't know yet, but like how things may turn out in Avengers 4 and Infinity War.
Yeah, but we don't know. Yeah, but we know that they're gonna make more Black Panther movies. We know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean, do we? Of course they are.
No, here's the thing. Here's the reason I say that, because
you think they're going to kill off Black Panther in Infinity War? No way.
I don't know. I don't know how Infinity War is going to turn out, because we know it's going to be really bad. We know that Thanos is going to be really strong, especially with all the Infinity Stones.
So you think so what? So what?
I just think I don't know if anybody's going to. I don't know if anybody's going to survive.
Avengers come on, 4. Come on, Jay. Come on.
I'm just saying. I don't know.
What is that? Are you really telling yourself that?
It's just what I'm saying. How it could turn out. I don't know.
Look, this is not the last Black Panther movie, okay? And you're fooling yourself if you actually think that's possible.
Well, the what villains they have left then in the
that's my point. My point I'm trying to make is here: why kill off two strong villains right off the bat? That's not a good narrative choice in my mind.
Mm.
So did you like Andy Serkis's Claw?
I thought he wasn't bad, but
did you like Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger?
Michael B. Jordan was a better villain than Claw, to be honest.
Okay, so why not keep those guys around in some way and continue developing them in future films?
What if Killmonger does come back somehow?
He's dead.
So? We've seen all the time in comics people die and they come back.
Yeah, but who has died and come back in these films? In any MCU film?
Good point.
Let me think. Thor's mother, Freya, she died. She's gone.
True.
Ironmonger, Obadiah Stane, dead, gone. Ivan Vanko from Iron Man 2, he's gone, dead.
No, wait.
Backlash.
Yeah.
Who else?
The guy from Civil War is still alive. We know that.
Yeah, we know. But he wasn't really much of he's not like a supervillain right now.
Well, kind of was in the sense that he was trying to rip the Avengers apart.
Yeah, but he was not the Zemo of the comics. He was more like they made him like sort of this special ops soldier. He's not the Zemo we know of the traditional Marvel.
But he could show up in future films. That's a possibility.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But my point is this: we want to see more Black Panther films, right? You want to see more Black Panther films, right?
I wouldn't mind it, sure.
All right. So don't you think, keep Killmonger around and let's see him again at some point? All right. I kind of feel like you're not understanding what I'm saying here.
No, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, I think
there's a problem here where you're always killing off the villains when they have potential to be so much more. Even Claw, I think they could have done a lot more with that character. Don't you agree?
I don't think so.
What do you mean you don't think so?
I mean that I think Claw was a supporting villain in this movie anyway.
Yeah, but
I'm not sure what else they could have done with him, to be honest.
In the comics, Claw is the original Black Panther villain.
Okay.
He's like his first major.
And we saw he was in this one. We saw that. but I don't know if there was
Right.
much. I don't know if there were many other places he
But
could have gone.
we don't
in
ever
this
see him
movie.
in the comics. He gets a cool suit and a cool suit of armor, and he becomes he becomes like living sound. We don't get to see any of that here, and that's a little, to me, that's a little disappointing. Like, you could have not killed Claw and had him come back as sort of a more high tech, dangerous villain. Oh, Ant-Man, they killed off Yellow Jacket in the first movie, so there's another one. It tends, other than Loki, it tends to happen quite a bit here. So I just think, maybe don't kill off Killmonger. Maybe don't kill off Ulysses Claw. Maybe keep them alive and continue to use them in the future. But that's just my.
Well, you know that we know that they're going to have future enemies come up, because we did see at the end they are going to find, like, hey, we will start to have better stuff with the world, so they'll have enemies with the government.
Well, why don't you? All right, so basically at the end of the movie, here's what happens. So he beats Killmonger, and he's restored his place on the throne, and then they move back. Like, they don't move, but they go to Oakland. And they buy the old building where they killed Killmonger's father, and they plan to open up sort of like a youth center and a school, basically, for, I guess, troubled youth and sort of inner city youth and things like that. And then we get two credit scenes, because this is a Marvel film. We get two credit scenes. So why don't you break down the mid credits scene? The
first one is, we see that King T'Challa and his, I want to say it's his queen, Lupita Nyong'o.
Well, they're not married, so not really his, his queen, girlfriend. Say his girlfriend.
Okay, fine, girlfriend.
His consort. Say his consort. That's probably.
So we see them go to the UN, and he pretty much says, we do need to start having better relations with you and start, better dialogue. And so that means
we're going to build bridges. We're going to build bridges with the rest of the world.
Yeah, so it means that they could get other enemies, because even we saw Martin Freeman for all the movie going, wait, what are you they keeping this secret? He wasn't even happy about it at first. He was like, wait, why are you keeping all this stuff a secret from us? Like, because they had all this technology that basically
it's valuable, which could make that could make Wakanda a target to bad guys. So
yeah. So I think there'd be more bad guys from either other governments. They'll go, hey, you have this, we want this, we're willing to take you.
And then,
take it.
Okay, so then we get, but that wasn't the impression. That wasn't the impression they gave off.
Well, no, they didn't. It was just a happy one of, hey, we need to start having better relations with the world and all that. And then the second one I really liked.
And the reason they did that is because, like, beforehand, Wakanda was always isolated. They had like a shield. They had this like shield that sort of keeps them invisible, basically, to the rest of the world. So
yeah, pretty much.
Because they don't want to get involved. Beforehand, they didn't want to get involved with the world's affairs. And after T'Challa learned everything that had happened, he can't sit on the sidelines anymore. But go ahead.
And it was kind of Lupita Nyong'o kind of pushed him to not be on the sidelines anymore,
right?
Either, right. Because she's like, hey, we can do so much for all these people.
We can do good in the world.
Right. Yeah,
we can do good in the world. And
there was the first one, and there was the second one, which I really liked, because I believe it was actually at the end of Civil War. We saw Bucky be hidden on Wakanda until they tried to find a cure for him, right? That's what we saw, right?
I guess they wanted to. They put him in like a stasis, like a.
Yeah, until they found a cure or something, right?
They froze him until they could, I guess, cure him of his brainwashing.
Yeah.
So then, we get a post-credits scene where we, I guess, we see Bucky, the Winter Soldier. He's in Wakanda, and the sister Shuri is there with him, and he wakes up, and it seems like the implication is that he's been cured, or his brainwashing has been cured, and he's all better. So that didn't take very long, it seems like. Because remember, at the beginning of the movie, they said it's only been a week since Civil War, basically.
Did they?
Yeah.
Seems like it was longer.
Remember, they're in the ship and they're looking for Nakia to take her back to Wakanda, and he's watching like that news report, and they said it happened like a week ago.
Interesting. Okay. But yeah, they have real good technology, so I guess that explains it. I don't know.
I don't know why you would freeze him for like a week, but
Mm.
or maybe there was a bit more passage of time. Now, I got to be honest. Some of the timeline stuff is a little weird to me because remember in remember Spider-Man Homecoming?
Yes.
They said at the beginning of Spider-Man Homecoming, they said Avengers happened 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that a little weird, you think?
Hmm.
What do you think about that?
Um.
I'm asking. So remember Avengers, which came out in 2012, right?
Yes.
So
Correct.
they're saying the battle with all the aliens in Avengers, the big battle in Manhattan at the end of the movie. They're
Uh-huh.
saying that happened 8 years before Spider-Man Homecoming.
Okay.
So what do you think? Do you think that's possible?
I don't know. It could have been like just because. Well, they may have messed up on the time there a little bit, but
Yeah.
it was important because it again gave you a reason to feel sympathy for the Vulture, right? He was someone who had this script become, it was stolen away from
That
him.
we're not talking about the Vulture. I'm talking about the timeline, not like sympathy for the Vulture.
Probably messed up a little bit, probably, yeah.
I mean, does it make sense to you that Avengers could have happened 8 years before Homecoming?
Mm,
I don't think so.
not really, no.
Because that means because Homecoming. Here's why. Homecoming. Remember in Homecoming, we see him. He basically gets home right after the battle at the airport in Civil War, right? They
Mhm.
kind of recap that whole thing at the beginning of the movie, right?
Yeah, correct.
So it's been, and then it picks up like just a few weeks later. So
Mm,
basically, that means Civil War happened 8 years after Avengers,
mm,
even though the movie came out only Civil War came out 4 years after Avengers. So
mm.
I don't really think. I mean, I think that doesn't make sense to arbitrarily set up those gaps that way. But what do you think?
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, it's a little weird. It's a little weird, yeah.
All right, in this movie, apparently it's just 1 week later after Civil War, even though it's been almost 2 years since that movie was released. But
Mm.
I don't know if I would put this in my top 5 Marvel films, but I would probably put it in top 10, probably. How
Yeah,
about you?
I would I would definitely say this. Like, I'd probably give this maybe like an 8.5 or a 9, probably an eight
Eight
and
and
a
a
half
half.
or a
Eight and
10,
a half is how I feel.
because it's good, but it's not the first or because I did, even though it wasn't, I still saw it as an origin story, just in the sense because you got to learn, how he became, like, the Black Panther, more about the Black Panther, the whole thing about it, the whole land, the whole people, the whole history, all that stuff. Because like in Civil War, again, you learned only a little bit. So to
Right.
me, it was an origin story, and it wasn't. I've seen a bit of better origin stories in this from Marvel, but it was still a good origin story, if that makes any sense.
Okay. Well, was there anything that didn't blow you away about the film?
Um, I think what happened with this film with me was some of it was predictable. Like, you knew, like,
Okay.
when he goes
Well,
against.
like you knew. Okay, so like earlier when we think when they make it like he dies, we know he's not dead, right?
Yeah, I knew he wasn't dead because in the trailer you see him fighting Killmonger on like a car, like, somewhere else. I'm like, he's not dead. That fight scene hasn't happened yet. That
Well,
was one example.
and you're not going to kill off your main hero in the first
Yeah.
movie anyway. So.
And also, like, there was some parts where like when doing that whole entire giant fight sequence, I'm like, well, they're gonna win somehow. How, I'm not sure, but somehow they will. So, there wasn't really much for me, like much like, oh my god, they just did that moment. I was like, no, I kind of saw that coming moments, So it was a little predictable for me at some parts.
I still think it was misguided to kill off two villains in the same movie because save them for later a little bit.
Yeah, but again, we don't know where the MCU is going next, and they got a
They're
lot of
gonna
films chasing up.
where they're going next is they're not gonna make any more Iron Man, Captain America, or Thor films. They're gonna make Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man films. That's where they're going. It's characters like Black Panther, Doctor Strange, and Captain Marvel. Those are your those are going to be your big new heroes, and probably Ant-Man and the Wasp a little bit. So there
And
you go.
Deadpool, of course.
Well, Deadpool. Well, we don't really know what's going to happen with Marvel and Disney and Fox for a little while now, and how that's going to pan out. I think they'll just keep making Deadpool movies their own thing, probably. And I don't. Maybe we'll see him interact with the Avengers, and I don't know.
I would think so. I would think he'd have to show up in one of the two.
Maybe he'll show. Maybe he'll show up, but like you can't do the things in an Avengers movie with Deadpool that you can do with a Deadpool movie because of the R rating. You know. True. You can't have him dropping F-bombs left and right. You can't have him.
But if 3 or 4 is brutal enough, it'll be an R rating anyway because it'll be so.
What violent. Do you mean?
Because we've already seen in the trailer for Infinity War what we've seen.
Jay, Infinity War is not going to have an R rating. Okay.
I'm not saying it is, but what I'm saying is, say in Avengers 4, there's a lot of violence, a lot of death, and all that. It will get an R rating for
then
that.
It still won't get an R rating.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised.
Kevin Feige said we're never going to release a film with an R rating.
Is he directing Avengers 4?
No, he's the producer. The directors are the Russos.
Yeah.
Anthony and Joe Russo. Yeah. They're not going to release the fifth. The fourth one. Infinity War is the third, so the fourth one is not going to have an R rating. So a Deadpool movie, I think, could have an R rating, made by Marvel and Disney, maybe, but they won't release an X-Men movie or an Avengers movie where Deadpool even cameos with a P. They're going to have to censor Deadpool a little bit, basically.
Maybe they will. Who knows?
It's not even a maybe because, look, Disney is not going to release an R-rated like Star Wars movie. Okay, they're just not going to do that. Mm-hmm. They just won't. Okay, it's not. You know, don't give me that look because they're not. But all right, so that's Black Panther. Here's what we're looking at, right? 192 million for the weekend, and it's looking like it will make 218 million for its 4-day holiday weekend. Bow. Mm-hmm. What do you think about those numbers and how well it's doing?
That makes sense. Really the reason this is doing well is because it's one of the first films, at least in the MCU,
where the black hero is the star, right?
Well, it's not just the black hero, but like I said, there's a lot of powerful, African American characters in here, right? It's not just him stealing all the thunder; they're all sharing the thunder together, you know.
Well, I mean, we've had Falcon and War Machine, but none of those guys were the main one.
No. And they weren't.
That's my point. That's my point.
And they weren't necessarily given as big. They kind of took some of the power of the film, but these all shared it pretty equally. Forrest Whitaker had a good amount of it. Chadwick Boseman had a lot of it.
Yeah,
but Peter Nyong'o had a good amount of it.
Yeah, but Forrest Whitaker is not a hero in the film. He's like his mentor.
True, but what I mean is it was spread easily.
Okoye, yes. Nakia, yes. Shuri. Yes, but we've seen characters like that in other Marvel films.
Yeah, but I think this is the first Marvel film I can think of in a while where they all did a pretty good job of holding, doing their parts of the machine, making it run really smooth.
I mean, what about Black Panther in Civil War?
He was good, but he was all like Spider-Man, where you kind of saw them and you knew a little bit about them, but not much, really.
I mean, he had a bigger role than Spider-Man in Civil War, basically.
I'm not saying he didn't, but I mean, he was just someone who came up and you knew a bit about him and he was powerful, but you didn't really.
But I mean, understand. But my point is, this is the first Marvel movie, the first Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, where we have the main hero is an African hero, right? Mm-hmm. It's the first one where his name is in the title. It's Black Panther. We've never seen that before, have we?
No, not really.
Okay. Man, so these numbers are pretty impressive. I think this is the second biggest opening for our Marvel movie ever, only second to the first Avengers film from 2012. Only that film has had a bigger opening.
I think this will ride the wave for a while because it doesn't have competition for a while. Not really.
Not really. You're right.
Yeah.
Other than Early Man. Early Man. Let's see how Early Man did this weekend. Early Man only made $3 million. That film bombed. Peter Rabbit and 50 Shades Freed both did better. Peter Rabbit is actually doing rather well.
Rabbit, but Early Man as well is a good family film, just like Peter. I think personally it was better than Peter Rabbit. It's just me. I think Early Man was better than Peter
Okay.
Rabbit. I enjoyed it more. It was
So
silly.
Peter Rabbit was number 2 with 17.2 million. Peter Rabbit is actually doing very well.
Yeah.
50 Shades Freed made almost 17 million. It's not doing great, but it's doing pretty good. It's doing pretty good business. So it's going to make over 100 million for sure. And it's already made 190 million overseas. So it's going to finish. It's going to finish pretty hard. Plus, here's the thing about the 50 Shades movies, Jay, is they're like a Black Panther. Let's look at the budget for Black Panther.
Was it like 200 mil? I thought
it's probably close to 200 million. So figure, let's see, 200 million for Black Panther. You want to know how much 50 Shades Freed cost?
Let me guess, 50.
About 55 million. So think about that. That's like a fourth. That's like a quarter of what Black Panther costs, right? So I mean, you know, you're making a good amount of money. You're getting a better return, honestly, for 50. As much as we don't like those movies, they're making a lot of money. So I guess all the power to Universal for making your erotic films.
But I think that Early Man could get a bit more steam as the
we'll see.
On, just because again there isn't really much competition for that either. Not in the near future, not really.
We'll see. Well, I'll keep an eye on it, and I will be sure to update you. So so that's box office. So let's look at Rotten Tomatoes. Black Panther right now has a tomato meter rating of 97%. So that's with critics, and that's just under 300 reviews. What do you think of that?
I think that's pretty good. It originally had 100, but it did get knocked down a little bit, sadly. But yeah, it did start with 100 before.
I mean, not everyone. I mean, look, not everyone's gonna like everything, you know.
That's true. That's true.
Like, what's your favorite movie of all time?
The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Is that your favorite movie
of all time? Yeah. Okay,
so let's look up the Rocky Horror Picture Show on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
That has a Rotten Tomatoes of 80%.
That's not bad for that movie. How old it is?
Yeah. But I mean, my point is this. Not everyone is gonna like everything. You know, people. That's true. You know what's entertaining and enjoyable to us, other people might not like, and you know, there's nothing wrong with that.
True.
Like I remember, here's my thing. I saw those reports about people getting upset that the film's no longer. Like, why are you upset that the film's not at 100%? Why is that? What's so bad about that?
What was weird about this movie was there was a thing before it came out where DC wanted to give it a low score. Now, of course, that didn't happen.
DC, hardcore fans of DC.
Yeah, hardcore DC fans. Okay, excuse me. Right. But of course, that didn't happen, which doesn't surprise me. But yeah, that might have been maybe why. I don't know.
Well, I mean, think about that. Like most of those, like Justice League got really bad reviews, low tomato meter score. So did Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad. The only one that didn't of the recent ones was Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah, correct.
Wonder Woman got very good reviews. So I feel like you shouldn't be upset that Black Panther is only at 97%, which is the highest ever for a Marvel film. Again, that's higher than the Avengers, which is like everyone's favorite movie. Let's see. I'm trying to look up 2012 The Avengers. Basically. Here we go. Marvel's The Avengers. 92%. 92. So it's got a higher rating right now than The Avengers. So I mean, getting upset about like a handful of reviewers who don't you think that's a little petty? A little bit. When DC fans have it so rough. Think about this. The Justice League movie, if you're like a huge fan of Batman and Superman, let's look at Justice League right now, man. So Justice League, which was released last November, 40% certified rotten.
Yeah.
And people and the Black Panther communities all like, oh my God, it's not 100%. Like, come on now. Come on now. Don't you think that's a little over the top?
Well, a little bit, but you know, what are you gonna do?
I think it's a little weird to get upset over that. I think like look, oh wow, this movie's doing great. It's doing huge at the box office. It's getting great reviews. People are loving it. We liked it. So I mean, you know, I say take your victory lap, man. You did it. You know, I don't see anything to complain about here, to be honest with you.
Yeah, me too. I agree.
All right. So moving on from that, so that was sort of our Black Panther discussion.
You can unearmuff now. Unearmuffs now.
Oh yeah, so we're done with Black Panther spoilers, so you can take off your earmuffs. So a couple new trailers we wanted to go over. So during the Olympics, we got a new trailer released for The Incredibles. This actually gave us some like real footage for the movie. The first one was like a teaser, just a little teaser of Jack kind of.
Yeah, kind of annoying teaser, to be honest.
Not annoying, but it's a teaser, you know.
I just don't like teasers like that because it's almost like, man, you showed us almost nothing except, oh, he's got powers now. We know.
I thought that teaser was better than the teaser for Venom. Let me put it that way.
Well, that's not saying much. That's not fair.
But this was more like a real trailer that gave us a lot more. So now we're getting a better sense of the plot. I like that the Underminer. Remember the Underminer from the first movie?
I do.
He's that gag at the very end. So we actually get to see more of the Underminer in this film. I'm very pumped about that. To be honest. Even if he's like just at the beginning, I'm glad we're going to get to see the Underminer again.
I think it's really interesting in this movie. We see it in the trailer where Elastigirl's going to have a big role, and while she's doing that,
she has a big role in the first movie too.
But she's going to be the main star this time.
No, she isn't. It's the whole family.
But in the trailer, it shows more of her, where we see Mr. Incredible.
Not really. We see. If anything, it looks like Mr. Incredible is getting stir crazy at home, dealing with his superpowered baby son.
But that's what I mean. He's going to be like the one at home, and she's going to be the one trying to make a good.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I don't think that's the whole movie. I think you. I don't. It
doesn't. I don't think it's the whole movie. I'm just saying for this trailer, we see her being the superhero and him being the stay-at-home.
We don't see a lot of her being the trailer is more if anything, it's more focused on Bob and Jack, really.
Yeah, but him trying to be a parent, and obviously he's not doing that good of a job at it.
Well, that was really the focus of the trailer, if anything.
Well, it's nice we got to see the one superhero costume bursting, and that was kind of cool. Getting to see her was nice.
So basically, here's what the gist of it. It looks like they're dealing with sort of like this rich corporate CEO who's trying to make superheroes are still illegal at the start of the movie. So it looks like they're trying to lobby to bring superheroes back to the public after the end of the first film. So it looks like, and this rich tycoon, I think he's played by Bob Odenkirk.
I think so.
He voices that character. He's like, I don't want you, Mr. Incredible. I want Elastigirl. So that's why Elastigirl is the one who's going out into the field and getting to play superhero. So Bob has to play stay-at-home dad with the kids and Jack, basically. So he looks, obviously, you know, Bob the whole reason what happened in the first movie was because he was not content, you know, living a normal life. He wanted to be a superhero again. And obviously he's not content to be the stay-at-home father with a very superpowered baby. He's got all those crazy powers in the film. But yeah. So I think the movie is going to be awesome. I'm glad that it looks like all the important people are back. We've got Craig T. Nelson is back. Samuel Jackson is back as Frozone. Brad Bird. I mean, Brad Bird is back as director. So look, we got the whole brain trust of the original film. So that's the important thing. I think this will be a very hard movie to screw up.
I think it'll be good. It's just interesting to see it go in a different direction for the sequel. But
I don't want it to be a repeat of the original, so I think that's good. You know,
Fair enough.
that's the trouble. That's the trouble with sequels. You know, they don't know how do we, how do we do something different, but that's also what that also fulfills the fans of the original.
I think this would be good because they did
Yeah.
the same thing to the Toy Story 3 and the fact they took their time with this. They didn't rush this sequel. Because Disney does it then. They rush a sequel and it's a bad idea. So taking your time with this is a great idea.
Well, they didn't rush Wreck-It Ralph too.
Yeah, but that's my point. They didn't. I'm saying like when they don't rush a sequel and take their time on a sequel, it'll be a better sequel most of the time.
But Disney, but Wreck-It Ralph is not Pixar, so I don't think they're wrecking that one. And I think that's how they used to be, but I don't think they're like that anymore with their animated.
Yeah.
No, they did take their time with this. They never. Brad Bird never. He never specifically said we would never do a sequel to this film. He said,
"Well, how they ended it, it kind of had to have a sequel."
No, it didn't have to. Not really.
I expected one. It wasn't when they did that. I'm like, there'll be another one.
Not. You see, the way it ended, it's just sort of like, okay, like here a villain comes up from under the ground, and they're like, oh, we can fight him together and be superheroes and a family together. And it's not like you have to do a sequel after that. You don't at all.
But how it ended, it didn't surprise me when they said they were going to.
They didn't say it with how they ended it. They didn't. All they ever really said, Jay, for 10 years was like, maybe we'll, we won't say no to a sequel, and if there's a story or idea we like, we'll do it. That's what they really said. They didn't say, yeah we're making a sequel.
Maybe, but that to me meant they were going to do one. They just couldn't announce it yet.
For 12 years?
Yes.
I mean, that's not how sequels work, Jay.
I'm just saying.
What happened is Brad Bird, he went off, he did other films for a while, and they came up with a story they liked. Fans wanted a sequel because they love the original, but they didn't have to make a sequel at all, honestly.
I'm not saying they had to, but it didn't surprise you when they said they were going to.
You said like they pretty much had to make a sequel, is what you said.
Well, how it ended, it made sense. That's maybe what I meant to say.
It doesn't. You could have. I think we could have gone hundreds of years and we'd be perfect for eternity, and I would have been fine if they never made a sequel, honestly. I don't think they had to make one. I think the people involved wanted to make one, and apparently they have a good story idea, and I support that. That's my feeling.
Okay.
I'm not, that's how I've read the situation. All right. So now we got another trailer. Another trailer we want to talk about is the next trailer for Ready Player One. The first trailer was not a lot there, but this one had a lot more meat in it. We saw a lot more of the main characters in the video game world they're in, and their digital avatars. So we got a lot more. We got a lot more of everything. And you just read the book. So after finishing the book, how is it? Getting into this trailer, kind of to that that remixed version of Willy Wonka's World of Imagination.
Well, it's definitely a good remix. Having read the book now, I do know things in the trailer. I'm like, hey, I don't remember. I don't know if that's a part of it, but that's okay. That's just how it's going to go. But I also knew after reading it now, I caught things I wouldn't have caught if I hadn't read the book. It's reality, And this is actually the third trailer because they did the teaser trailer at Comic-Con.
Right.
The one where we saw Halliday and the Easter egg and all that, and then this one.
Right.
Yeah. So
I think this was the best trailer they've made for the film so far. What do you think?
This one is good. I kind of like the second one better, to be honest.
I like this one because I guess the big attraction to this is we're going to be seeing like all these pop culture kind of things going on in the game world, and I think that's going to be the appeal to a lot of viewers seeing the film. It's almost going to be sort of like a video game version of Roger Rabbit almost.
I just like we're in the second trailer we get to see Halliday, and Halliday's the same guy who was the BFG, isn't he? The same guy, right?
Is it Mark Rylance?
I want to say maybe.
Yeah, it's Mark Rylance.
So I really like him. I think he's going to be great as Halliday. I'm looking forward to that.
What do you think of Tide Sheridan as Wade?
I think it's not a bad call. Looks like he'll do a good job with the character. I think he will. I'm just curious who they're going to have Ogden Morrow be, or if Ogden Morrow's even be in the movie. That's what I wonder.
He is in the movie. Simon Pegg plays him.
Really?
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty good call. I could see that working.
Simon Pegg from Star Trek and Mission Impossible.
I could see that working. That's not a bad call. I mean, yeah. Because to me, when I read the book, Ogden Morrow reminded me a lot of Steve Wozniak in a sense. Did you get that? It's too when you read it, or is it?
Yeah, I got that, and but I can see Simon Pegg doing something like that. Honestly,
I think so too, because he'd probably have to either.
He's a good actor.
But he'd either have to gain some weight or put on a fat suit or something, right?
I mean, he would do that.
I'm not saying he wouldn't. I'm just saying.
Look, we don't know how they're going to interpret the character either.
True. I just remember in the book, it seemed like he was kind of a little portly because he was a bit older.
Right.
Which made sense.
I mean, Simon Pegg is not a young man, so they could he's
a bad casting choice.
He's 47, so I mean, I can see it.
Yeah, with a little bit of makeup, I can see. What I really am excited about this, and I'm not really going to spoil anything.
Yeah.
But there's some parts in this movie after reading the book that I can't wait to see. Let's just say that. There's some parts I'm like, man, I cannot wait till.
The only thing that kind of gives me a little bit of issue is kind of like the CG of how they look in the video game world. Looks a little bit weird, like Uncanny Valley. I get a little bit of that. And some of the lighting I don't like. Like some of the action in the trailer, I don't like the way some of the lighting looks. It looks very murky. A little bit.
The only thing I really don't like, I'm not going to get into extreme details here, but there is one or two parts in the trailer I'm like, I don't remember reading that in the book, so it's like they threw it in there. It looks cool, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it looks cool, but I don't know how that's going to play in the story, if it's going to make sense. That's my only real thing.
Okay.
I just hope in a nutshell that they do it justice. And it sounds like Spielberg's going to try.
Ben Mendelsohn looks like he's going to make a really good bad guy in this film as Nolan.
Yeah, that's true. He does. Yeah, I saw him. I'm like, that's a good choice for that character. Yeah.
He's a good actor. I liked him a lot in Darkest Hour, and I thought he was okay in Rogue One, but I think he can be a lot. I think he's going to be a lot better here.
I thought he was good in Rogue One. Yeah, he was good in Rogue One.
I thought he was like okay as a guy. I didn't love him, but I think he has. I think he'll be a more prominent bad guy in this film. Let me say that.
I look forward to seeing, because we've seen some good stuff with the Bad Organization. I like that. I think they did a great job with that.
However,
how the suits look in that looks awesome.
If you want to see a better movie, not a better movie, but a better show about similar subject matter, you should definitely watch Sword Art Online. It's on Netflix if you have time. It's very similar thematically, and it was written first, so. It came before. The only thing that was a little weird about the book
over this movie, and I think they changed it in the movie, but I can tell in the trailer is I didn't get some of the references because some of it there was a lot of stuff about the really early arcade games, the really early computer games were just before my time. So that was my only real about this movie. I think they changed that in the movie a bit. It looks like, but besides that, this was definitely in a nutshell.
And not to mention. This could very much be what our world looks like in 2045, don't you think?
Yeah, Spielberg actually said that. I saw him say that. I'm like, hey, it could be, but
it wouldn't surprise me.
This book to me is probably one of the better books I've read in a long time. I had a blast reading this thing. It was like 500 something pages, but I burned through it quick. It was.
Doesn't it kind of feel like we're kind of heading down the road?
It does.
Of where this film is, and
maybe I saw a thing online where Spielberg said this could be where you're turning out. I'm like, you know what? We actually probably could. Yeah, 2045 we have population.
We have all those RVs stacked.
Yeah. So
we're living in RVs and just playing video games.
Movie, but I will say after reading the book, my excitement is a little waned, but I still am excited to see it. That's for sure. I just wish.
I think this is going to be a can't miss film for me for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, anything else? Since you just read the book, anything else you wanted to share about that experience?
I will say.
Without giving anything away.
The book told an amazing story. There was a lot of really good references that I just loved. I really did. There was so many good things there. It's a great story. It takes a lot of good twists and turns. The story is told. Like I said, it's a bit of a longer book, but I burned through it pretty quick because I was having so much fun reading it. And it's probably because I grew up in the 80s myself is why I got many of the references. Is probably why. You know, so if you're a fan of like, you know, the 80s, like this is a book you definitely want to read. And I've actually had two of my sisters read it now, and they both have loved it, probably just as much as I have, if not a little bit less, but they've still loved it. So it's a book that it tells an amazing story, amazing characters, you know, amazing like, you know, world that it puts together. And the Oasis itself is an absolutely amazing place. It really is. There's so much cool stuff there. It's just unbelievable.
I agree. So Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, but I also, as much as I like Ready Player One, I think it's inferior to Sword Art Online, which actually started as a light novel series before it became an anime. And I think they're producing a live action adaptation of Sword Art Online as well.
I thought they were. I know they're doing the live action Chrono Trigger. I know they're doing that.
All right. So moving on from that, the latest episodes of Grownish. What do you have for that?
So basically, what happens on this episode is Zoe, like, you know, she signs up for a fellowship for Teen Vogue, which is her dream.
Right.
And what this episode is about in a nutshell, which is interesting, it's all about social media. You know, she has a good commentary at the beginning about, you know, social media. It seems like new stuff comes out every day, and it's a real problem. And people spend a lot of time on, like, you know, their phones and their tablets, and they're not really even socializing with people, right? So it starts with that commentary, which is a great start for the episode. And she starts this new job, is pretty much told, you know, don't embarrass me. So she actually tries to, like, you know, be without her phone, without social media, you know, after being with it, like, pretty much addicted to it, like everybody else in college, right?
Right.
So she does that, and then she makes a mistake.
It's a sound life strategy, I think.
Yeah. And then the episode is called Erase Your Social, because she does make a mistake where she posts a selfie where, you know, it's she doesn't notice it, but behind her, there's a new, like, you know, brand of clothes they hadn't announced yet. So she screws herself out of this because she does that and doesn't realize she's taking the selfie. She doesn't realize, oh crap, I did that. So it's so she kind of, like, you know, screws herself, and she has two of her friends.
That's against the rules.
Yeah, and she has two of her friends who are, you know, kind of trolling this one celebrity online because they can. And so there's all these commentaries on social media, which is really kind of interesting. And it was a really fun episode.
So how did she fix it ultimately?
She can't. She pretty much, like, you know, she still works at Teen Vogue, but she had gotten this cool, like, this position. She screws herself out of it because she does that photo. And one of her friends, who just shows up one day and, like, they go, oh, you can be an intern here too, like, you know, gets it in her place. So it's kind of like she learns, like, hey, now be careful what you post online, right?
I would say that's a very good lesson in today's day and age.
And it was just a great fun episode. And there was a lot of comedic pokes at social media. There was a lot of, like, you know, how people rely on their phone stuff so much nowadays. There's a lot of really good social media.
Trolling is the thing that really just bothers me about social media, you know, and how the trolling and the toxicity. That's kind of what I think. So I think that's a very relevant topic, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it was just it was just a fun episode. It was a enjoyable episode, and, like, you know, all the characters kind of, like, you know, learn the hard way of how bad social media can be, right?
Right.
If you're not careful.
And the latest episode of one of your favorite shows, Beyond.
Yeah, what happens on this show is we saw last time where, you know, Holden runs into Charlie. This episode, he decides, you know what, me and Charlie are going to hang out again. And Charlie was actually an interesting character because in season 1, they kind of just bumped into each other and they ended up having a short, you know, fling, right? That's what happened. And she was his first. This season, Willa and Holden, you know, have their first sexual experience. And so Willa thinks, you know, oh, I was your first. This is so not knowing that Charlie was actually his first. So what happens is, you know, Willa and Holden's brother are hanging out a little bit more because, you know, of course, Holden and Willa are having a little bit of problems because they're not used to being in the real world. They're used to being in the you know, the other world is where they're used to being. And so Holden starts hanging out with Charlie again. They hang out, they have fun, they have a good time, but like, you know, so what happens is in the end, he kind of harms his relationship with his brother a bit, with Will a little bit because of Charlie. And then at the very end, we saw a guy named Diego who, the two of them have a pretty interesting battle at the end, which is kind of impressive.
Who is Diego?
Diego is another guy who woke up from a coma too.
Does he have powers?
He does, but his powers are a little different from Holden's. But, you know, so he, like, thinks he's some kind of, like, harbinger of death or something. So we get his, because he says on the episode we first meet Diego, he says he wants to go to Kansas to find Holden, right?
All right.
So here we see at the end, he finds Holden, and they have this little battle, and it was kind of interesting little twist. And we also see Holden's mom is trying to, kind of get back into graces with this one pastor, Ian, who she had a relationship with in the first season, because she wants to kind of learn more about Hollow Sky, which is the organization that's doing the whole thing of trying to get people to see their loved ones in this other world. It's a whole secret organization.
So she's doing it. Okay, well, we have some noise feedback there. Can you? I think we have a volume. Okay, there we go. Looks like we fixed that there.
So
the mother is seeing the pastor to get information out of him.
And then what happens is they both find out, her and her and Holden's dad find out that there's cameras all over their house. So he's been spying on them. So that's like, kind of harms their relationship, because it's like, holy crap, now what do we do? And meanwhile, Holden is still kind of trying to figure out what's going on with this ice box he found in the ground. And we find out the guy whose name is on it is another person who may be like Holden, but he's in an institution right now, and he can create fire at will. So we learn a little bit more about him too, but just a little bit.
Okay, so last bit of major news item we have here is there was some news at the New York Toy Fair going on right now in New York City. Hasbro, the license holder of the Transformers franchise, they're saying that the new, I guess, studio team at Paramount Pictures is going to reset the Transformers live-action movie series. This comes from TFW2005.net, following the release of Bumblebee the movie. So Bumblebee the movie, which is sort of like a standalone prequel to the original 2007 Transformers movie, comes out in December of this year. And the company has removed Transformers 6 from the upcoming slate of films.
Thank you, God.
That's funny. And there is no Transformers live action listed for the foreseeable future. So there's no movie coming out in 2019. There is a movie coming out from Paramount and Hasbro Studios in 2021, but it's only called a Paramount Hasbro event film. It might have Transformers in it. Who knows?
I don't know. This kind of sounds to me, this news sounds to me like, because they said after they did the last
one didn't do very well.
But they said when they did the last Resident Evil, they wanted to revamp Resident Evil 2. They didn't say when, just said they were going to do it. So this sounds like that news where, yeah, they may revamp it, but when? We don't know. When will another one come out? Who knows? It could be a year from now. It could be 10 years from now. We don't know.
Hasbro and Paramount previously they were talking about making a shared cinematic universe like Marvel. I don't think they're going to be doing that anymore.
I don't think so. Now, my question is, do you think they might do another cartoon? Because those done pretty well, right?
I think they are producing an animated Transformers movie. I don't know too many details about it yet.
The cartoons, like the cartoons on TV, they're pretty good. I've heard. I haven't really watched them. I've heard.
There's Robots in Disguise is on Cartoon Network. Which did you ever watch Transformers Prime?
No.
All right. Well, Robots in Disguise is the animated TV show they're doing right now. It's been on for
pretty good, right?
It's. I don't think it's great. It's okay. It's okay. I don't think it's as good as Transformers Prime. It kind of continues off from where they ended Transformers Prime, basically. And it's been on for a few seasons. So there were some reports last year that Hasbro was going to make like an animated Transformers movie. I don't know if it was going to be released in theaters or not. I don't know. I don't know what's happening with that right now.
But the last one, because
the last Transformers movie ended on a cliffhanger, though. So
yeah, but
they did.
But you remember, so did Independence Day and Resurgence. That ended on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, but the movie Independence Day Resurgence bombed. Okay.
So did this by their standards.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, by their standards, this did too. They didn't make any as much as they hoped it would.
Do you know how much? Do you know how much The Last Night made?
I want to say it was, probably 5-6, just because of China and those places.
It only made $130 million domestic.
Yeah, I know that.
Off a $220 million budget.
But then worldwide, it made more.
Worldwide, it made $600.
Yeah,
Now think of, all right. Worldwide, they did $600 million.
Wait, you're right though. That's the cheapest.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
You know how much Age of Extinction did?
Like a billion, right?
1.1 billion worldwide.
Yeah, yeah.
So in one movie, in like 2 years, they basically dropped in half. So
yeah.
by their standards, it bombed, basically.
It bombed here, at least.
It bombed here. Well, it did better overseas, but still, that's not good for a movie. Because
no, it's not.
I'm going to tell you, Jay, for the overseas gross, like the studios only get like a quarter of that money, like per country, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
In the U.S., a bit like a Hollywood movie in the U.S., they get like 55-60% of the box office.
Yeah.
Overseas, they get a lot. Like typically, they get a lot less. So that number, like 600 million, it might look big. Even 1.1 billion might look big, but they don't get all that money. You know that they don't get all that money back. You know.
Yeah, just the last one was just everything that could have been wrong was wrong. That's pretty much just how it was.
I mean, are you a Transformers fan at all? Did you ever like the old cartoons or any of the old toys?
I would say I watched them a little bit in the '80s, but I wasn't a huge fan. No, but I had some of the toys.
All right, but I mean, honestly, I've not liked these. I mean, the early movies were successful, but I've not liked them very much at all.
I like the first one.
The first one is it's tolerable. I agree.
And I thought the fourth one wasn't bad, but like two was a mess and 3 was okay.
Okay.
You know.
Like, do you remember that scene in the fifth movie? Like Mark Wahlberg calls Laura Haddock, like says she dresses like a stripper. Do you remember that?
I want to say yes.
I like. Why is that even in the movie?
I don't know.
Like why? Like, and why does Hot Rod, like, he's French but he doesn't like or speak French?
I don't know.
Do you remember that?
Why'd they have the robot butler look like C-3PO? I
don't know. Cogman.
Whatever it was.
I didn't like. All right. Well,
it looked like C-3PO.
Well, I would say thank you. Let's give Hasbro and Paramount thank you for ending this horrible series of movies.
Yeah.
If you do make another Transformers movie, please do it right this time, you know? Don't hire Michael Bay. Would you agree, Jay?
Yeah, I would. Yes, I would.
Now, you know, maybe they're still going to release Bumblebee, and that the Leica filmmaker is working on that film. I want to look up Travis Knight. So maybe that movie can be. He directed Box Trolls, Paranorman, and Kubo.
I like those. So yeah, I think it'll be good. And it's
animated films, but decent films, I think. You know?
Yeah, and it's supposed to take place in the '80s, so I think it'd be fun just in that regard.
I think as sort of like a decent, like, standalone-ish prequel, maybe Bumblebee will be okay.
I think it'll be good. I think it's got potential. Because yeah, those 3 movies, I liked all 3 of those.
I mean, you can't do much worse than The Last Night, can you?
You really can't.
It's kind of like don't you think it's kind of like bottomed out there, and you can only go up from here, don't you think?
You really can. Yeah.
All right. So I think that's about it for the main news for this week. Anything you wanted to take us out with?
Well, I will say that definitely be sure to check us out. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube.
Yeah.
We actually have an Instagram.
Still looking for a new platform. We're working.
We do have an Instagram page now. When we're at WonderCon, we'll probably start to post some stuff on there. And we're also on Twitter. You can find us on there. So if you like us and follow us on there, check us out. Comments are always appreciated. What you think? We're working
on logos and artwork. That's not done yet, but it's in the works.
And also next week, I don't know if you're going to be seeing, but I'll be seeing Annihilation. So we'll see how that one is.
I'm seeing Red Sparrow is the next one I'm seeing.
Oh, I'm seeing that on Thursday.
Jennifer Lawrence, Red Sparrow.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's on Thursday, but we'll see.
I'll probably have to ask about Annihilation.
Yeah, they gave me the book on it too, so I'll be reading that.
Maybe Annihilation and Red Sparrow will be some decent competition.
Annihilation, I don't know. It's another movie based on a book. It looks interesting, but we'll see. I mean, it's got Natalie Portman. She is.
I think it's from the guy. Did you ever see Ex Machina?
No.
It's by Alex Garland, who worked on Ex Machina and was the writer and producer of Dread 3D.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a movie we need to get a sequel of. Seriously.
Well, we're getting the Dread TV series. We're never going to get a
Mega City one. True.
We're going to get the Mega City one. So yeah, Alex Garland wrote and directed. He's a very talented writer. So he wrote and directed Annihilation. He produced and wrote Dread 3D, 28 Days Later, and Sunshine. So and Ex Machina. So he's done a lot of.
What was Ex Machina about? Why does that one sound familiar? What was that?
That was the one with Alicia Vikander and Domhnall Gleeson Gleeson and Oscar Isaac with like the cyborg. I think that's the one Vikander got her award for. I want to say. Let me see.
I don't remember that one.
It won. No. It won Best Visual Effects, and he got an Oscar nomination for screenplay.
The one thing I do want to talk about real quick that's kind of interesting. I finally watched this weekend.
Was in it though.
I finally watched this weekend The Florida Project. I finally watched the game.
I haven't seen that yet.
I can say after watching it, I can see why Willem Dafoe got a nomination because he was the best thing about that movie. I didn't like Florida Project that much, but he was really good in The Florida Project. He was amazing. He was the full range of emotions and situations, and his character was amazing. So, yeah, I can see why he got nominated for an Academy Award.
Vikander won in 2016 for The Danish Girl. That's the one she won for. But she was also very good in Ex Machina, I think.
Yeah, The Danish Girl was not a bad film.
Okay. So where can we watch that? Is it on Netflix right now?
No, The Florida Project comes out on Tuesday. On Blu-ray, and you can probably watch it online.
So you got a screen. Did they give you a screener for that?
They gave me a review copy of it.
I'm hopeful, and I'll hopefully be getting a review copy of Thor Ragnarok. So I'm very much.
Yeah, I am too. I'm looking forward to that.
I'm very much
Coco
looking
will be a
forward
little bit harder because I think Coco's actually another company.
All right, so I am Jeffrey Harris. You can check out my review of Black Panther right now on 411 Mania. Check out my review of that. Jay, where can people find you online?
They can find my reviews of, of course, the new Beyond episode and the new Grownish episode and Florida Project on the Good Men Project. They're all live now. And I didn't do a review of Black Panther, but you can see it on here what I thought about it. So.
All right, great. So, so that is our spoiler cast for Black Panther. This is Jeffrey Harris of the Hollywood Purgatory. This is where the entertainment industry comes to get judged. He is Jay Snook. Everyone have a very safe President's Day weekend. Have a safe holiday. Enjoy yourselves, but not too much. And we will see you soon. Thank you.